joined by Fox News contributor Sarah Carter and New York City Council Minority Leader Joe Borelli. Joe, you know, I want to put up these crime stats, this comparison last year and the prior year before that, because right now you have the DA. Can we pull that up real quick? And this shows the rate is up, robbery, felony, assault, burglary. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Recently, you have the DA's office saying it's down, but he's only bringing up the numbers for the last couple months. He's not comparing it from last year and the year before. What is your response to that?
Right, and the only reason the numbers are even trickling down right now is because of our police officers doing a decent job. This is someone who was elected to office by a small 5% of Manhattan voters in a Democratic primary, where he just had to prove he was the most woke and the person who wanted to be prosecutor who would do the least amount of prosecutions. I think your last guest really framed him right. This is not a lawman of the Wyatt Earp variety. This is someone whose intentions, every time he goes into his desk and sits behind a very powerful office, the Manhattan District Attorney, his intention is to let more people go, and we see those statistics are even more astonishing. The number of misdemeanors that have been dropped, the number of felonies that have been dropped to misdemeanors or dismissed outright has actually never been higher in the recent history of this office. That should alarm every New Yorker, every visitor, every worker who goes to Manhattan every single day.
Well, Sarah, that goes back to the bigger point, though. I mean, you've been covering it for years just as well as I have about all the kids that have been murdered. Right. And he has this new talking point now, that he's a tough on crime person, that no one is above the law. But yet, all of a sudden, he's going after the former president right now, but he doesn't do it for these other cases.
Well, you're absolutely right, Lawrence. I mean, it's gut-wrenching when you hear Madeline talk. When I talked to folks in New York City, I was there all this past week. It didn't matter whether they were Democrat, Republican, Independent. Everybody sounded frustrated. People were frustrated with the increase in crime. We saw last year an increase of over 23% in serious crimes. I spoke with a police officer in the city who was telling me it was just every single day they were dealing with more thieves, with more robberies, with carjackings, with assaults. And I said, how frustrated are you to this officer? I mean, he couldn't go on the record with me, but he said, you know, I'm doing my job. All I can do is do my job, and hopefully I can save someone's life. But there's nobody out there that has their back. And by the way, there's no consequences. And so when there's no consequences for the people that are committing those crimes increase. People feel that they can get away with it. But what about the children that you talked about, Lawrence? What about all the children that have to walk to school every day? All the parents that have to worry about their kids every day, wonder if they're going to come home alive, wonder if, you know, their daughter could be assaulted on a subway. This is very serious. I think DA Bragg has caught himself now between a rock and a hard place. Yeah. He is not getting any love from the left, right? Not getting any love from the left, and certainly doesn't have any love from the right.
Well, you know, that's my question also, because, Joe, I know that he's been coming to council begging for more money after day one, lowering the standards in our criminal justice system for which we prosecute people that clearly break the law. He got rid of the enhancements for weapon charges. I mean, I mean, this is just a pattern of behavior, and he says that he needs more money.
Yeah, he's come to the council begging for more money and basically saying he can't comply with the existing discovery laws because there just aren't enough assistant district attorneys to do the work. By the way, he supported that law, changing discovery laws in the first place. Yet he has all this time to prosecute Trump. That list you put up comes from literally his day one memo, where he basically said at the outset of his term that he's just not going to prosecute most low-level misdemeanors. And if you heard what the president, former President Donald Trump said earlier today, he basically said what I'm being accused of is not a crime. And I'll ask anyone this. You know, there's plenty of violations by the Federal Election Commission, the State Board of Elections, the City Board of Elections. All of these campaign finance violations occur in New York City all the time. How many other ones did he ever investigate other than Donald Trump? The answer is zero. That's why it surely seems to be a political prosecution.
Well, yeah, it has to be that. Because after all the interviews that I've done, I mean, I remember interviewing a 2-year-old that was shot in the head at just a family barbecue and his family. There was no visit from the DA on that. It's clear that he doesn't care about the people and the children of New York. Sarah, Councilman, thanks so much for joining the program.